back with another episode of the PCC Multiverse. This is Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from PCC Multiverse, of course, also known as the Pop Culture Cosmos, Game Source, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and of course, the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, please give us that 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, also like, share, subscribe. Subscribe to get the latest notifications on when we go live on the air with the latest Pop Culture Cosmos or PCC Multiverse. Plus, also as well, Vampires and Vitae. Of course, they have their latest season coming right out and right now for you. We're in the middle of it, so go ahead and check out all the action today for some great tabletop RPG gaming. Plus, also saw Wizards and Wine and all the things we do. Wow. And all the things that we do right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos because we are just so fantastic. We bring you the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every day right there at Pop Culture Cosmos on Facebook, plus also our wonderful site, popculturecosmos.wordpress.com. But it wouldn't be a PCC Multiverse without my good friend. She is the fantastical co-creator of Vampires and Vitae, and of course, she is the mastermind of Wizards and Wine. I hope she's not a squirrel, but is a good friend indeed. She is, of course, everything that she does with us right here at the Pop Culture Cosmos. It is Melinda Barkhouse Ross, and Melinda this week brought us July 4th, but also brought us something new in Las Vegas where it has to be something new and something fancy. Now it's a big ball called the Sphere. In our
Yes.
Pop Culture Cosmos YouTube page, we actually have got the first opening minutes of it, courtesy of me. I was there. It looks really cool. Now, whoever turned on the switch now has just not decided to turn it off. So it's doing all these fancy, cool things and weird things. It's another great thing coming to Vegas. Just another thing which will probably fade after over time. Just be that ball thing here coming up very soon.
Yeah, and well, I mean, everything to, hype a thing up and then, slowly let it fade
Well,
into
it's all
obscurity.
about, yeah, exactly. It's just all about what's being built next, what hotel is coming up next, what casino
Yeah.
is coming up next. But I guess it's okay because you always have friends coming into town willing to go say, "Hey, where's that big ball?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not that you can't see it already from any point. As you're looking at the strip, you can easily see it from just
It,
about every direction. So,
but it is cool. It's got the whole digital imagery outside of it and also
hmm
inside. I know it'll debut as far as a concert venue later this year with U2. Wish I could have enjoyed going to it because U2 is my all-time favorite band, but at the prices they were trying to get
yeah.
for it, unfortunately, I decided to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm good.
Yeah, that's my concern. Are all of the shows in there gonna be that expensive? Because if that's the case, it's only gonna be for, like, the well-to-do tourists that come to town.
I tell you, because it's very immersive on the inside, and I'm sure
Mhm.
it's going to be fantastic. So I hope to go ahead and check out a show inside the Sphere, just like outside of it, because it's going to be very interesting to see. But the video for it is now available on the Pop Culture Cosmos YouTube page. I hope everyone out there gets a chance to check it out to see what the hubbub here in Vegas for the moment is all about. But as I know, it's only for a short time until the next thing in Vegas comes along.
Yeah, it's gonna be that, guitar-shaped hotel, I think, is the next thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and then the baseball
Baseball stadium.
stadium.
Mhm.
Yeah, more hotels and casinos. They're like taking forever to build. Back in my day, or I should say, back in early 2000s, they would just build them up and be up in like a year, a little over a year. Now, some of these due to project funding and just basically outright, back and forth stuff going on, legal stuff,
Mhm.
they take forever to build. So, like, you're just like, outside the hotels and casinos that you already have, there's like several spots where there's like halfway building and whatnot, and you don't know when they're ever going to be finished.
Yeah, it seems like that's definitely the way it goes. I mean, I can remember when they started working on, Circa. down in Fremont. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that didn't seem like it took too long to build, though, did it?
No, but there because there was motivation and completion to
Mm.
do so, and it is that actually the latest, I think, the most recent hotel to be really put out there. So yeah, again, we'll be seeing more stuff coming to Vegas here soon, but the Sphere is up and running. And if you want to go ahead and check it out today, it is at the Pop Culture Cosmos. But we've got a great show lined up for everyone out there, Melinda. A lot of great things to talk about. Secret Invasion is all secret right now. I'm
Shh.
not sure if Melinda's a scroll or not. We'll find out on this episode. Plus, also as well, Star Trek Strange New Worlds season 2 is out as far as the first 3 episodes. And it's kind of strange. And I'll ask Melinda why that is, being our Star Trek expert. That's coming up here in a bit. But one of the biggest stories that we're going to talk about here in a second is also as well the box office and the concerns I have, plus also Threads. That's right, Threads. Just what you needed in your life, another social media outlet. And we'll go ahead and connect ours with the rest of the world here on the show as well. But first, my friend, it is the box office after the underwhelming performance of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, which is supposed to be the last Indiana Jones, where Harrison Ford is attached. Kind of really sad to hear the news that it's not being resoundingly seen for a series that, again, despite its up and down nature, has some really high highs and has been a part of movie history with at least 2 of their great movies. It's very disappointing, though, that Dial of Destiny is not dialing up some good numbers. It does look like it's going to be a money loser because it cost almost $300 million to make. And unfortunately, it's going to be a bad sign going forward for Indiana Jones. Disney, even though it is the box office leader to date this year, seemingly like it is every year, unfortunately has not had that many box office hits. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 didn't crack a billion, which should be of concern because it was the early May release. You had the situation with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We've discussed on the show how bad it bombed after its first week initial pop. Elemental from Pixar, even though it actually has a steady following now, it had a extremely underwhelming first week, which I'm so sad for as far as for my friends at Pixar. So the box office right now, Disney aside, it's not just Disney. There's several movies. I mean, Warner Brothers has got nothing to crow about either after its issues with Shazam and The Flash. I could go on and on and on and on about all the failures here. And it's gotten to the point where with Barbie and Oppenheimer and also as well Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 coming around the corner, they're actually all of them are all the stars, Tom Cruise and Margot Robbie. They're all buying each other tickets to go see each other's movies
Mm.
just so that they can show everybody to go see them at the movies. Your thoughts on the concern you have about going to the box office and going to the movies right now?
I I maybe, and this is pure speculation because I don't have any data or anything like that to back it up, but I think that the day and date stuff where they were just giving you new movies on a streaming service that you have, whether it was Max or Amazon Prime or whatever, I think that that really worked for a lot of people. So now getting people, crowbarring them out of the couch and getting them out of the house, I think is going to take some really big ideas. And I just don't know that movie theater or movie companies um, are really delivering on that.
And it is getting hard. I mean, Tom Cruise is trying very hard to get people out in the theater. Christopher Nolan, who is an avid supporter of the on screen experience as well, with Tenet, as we've talked about before, which I thought was a pretty good movie. Sometimes it's a little hard to understand, and I get that. It may be a little long, but still, it was a blockbuster movie that underwhelmed at the box office because it came right in the middle of COVID, because
Right.
Nolan's insistence on putting it out there when he did. And you're right. Warner Brothers, especially the Max, when it was HBO Max, they decided to put out several movies
Mhm.
out day and date onto the screen. Peacock has done that as well. Disney Plus, Amazon Prime, they were all guilty of doing that, but it was by necessity at that point in time, because that's where your audience was going and trending toward to, was streaming platforms. Now streaming platforms have kind of flatlined for the time being as far as adding in new viewership, for with several outlets, and some actually losing subscribers. So they're not being replaced though by people actually heading out to the theaters, and that should be of great concern.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm one of those people. I just haven't gotten back to the movie theater. I personally find it cost prohibitive. And if I can get the same, not same experience, because it is a very different experience, but if I can get a movie at home versus getting up and getting ready and going to a movie theater and being there at a certain time, watching 37 different trailers, getting popcorn that's far too expensive, I'm going to opt to stay home every single time. And that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, absolutely. It is really unfortunate. And I see a lot of issues continuing for the movie industry going forward, and a lot of movies which, under normal circumstances, let's say circa 2018, 2019, would normally do okay, like Indiana Jones and The Dial of Destiny. I think under normal circumstances, despite its lukewarm critical reception, I
Mhm.
think if this was put out in 2017, 2018, 2019, I think at least it would have broken even, all things concerned.
Sure, yeah, and well, I think that there's other stuff too that's not really helping the case for um showing us how much the the production companies and things like that believe in the movie, for things like spend $35 at Applebee's and get 2 free tickets to go see the new Indiana Jones. Like, that just screams to me, um we're concerned that this movie isn't going to do well. We just want to get some butts in seats. So,
Mhm.
perfect margarita and an app, and you can go to the movie for free.
Make sure you include that margarita there.
I mean, priorities.
I enjoyed the movie tremendously. It's still the trailers, Melinda.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
right.
Too many margaritas. Sorry about that. But I will say, though, I do have a little bit of concern going forward, because we've had so many box office losers, which could mean in turn as a financially fiscal savings, because we've also seen movies that have cost a lot of money that headed to streaming, like for instance a recent Disney movie, Crater, that was pulled off of Disney Plus's platform after 7 weeks. I think it was pulled off entirely, and that was a movie that cost $50 million to make. So I see movies becoming a little bit more scarce as far as being put out there if they're not going to return on their investment.
Yeah, it really does feel like where there's some kind of shift happening there, in terms of
Mhm.
audiences and their consumption of the media. And I think that, we I don't know if it's that we don't know what we want, and we're waiting for somebody to come along with the big idea and go, there it is. That's what I've been waiting for, when it comes to going and seeing movies. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's what the general public is sitting and waiting on, or if it's just I haven't seen a movie that I'm interested in enough to leave my house and go to a movie theater. And it's not because of, any remnants of being concerned of, COVID concerns and things like that. I think it really is just people got used to being home, and a night out isn't nearly as exciting sounding as it used to be.
And that's a shame, because, for many years, decades, it was the thing to do,
Mhm.
to go out, enjoy the experience. But as TVs get more high def, as TVs get more 4K, as TVs get to eventually 8K, and more programming comes in 4K and 8K, it's going to be harder and harder for these movie companies to go ahead and be able to position themselves and say, hey, it is so much of a better experience, because you and I have gushed over Dune Part 1. And if you see it in 4K HDR on Max, Yes, it's not the IMAX experience, but it's pretty dang good in its own.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's home theater systems just getting good enough that we're not, we're not required to go to the movie theater to get that immersive experience. Because not only are TVs getting better, but they're also getting bigger and they're still staying reasonably affordable as they continue to grow in size.
It's really getting harder and harder to go ahead and get people such as yourself out. I know Dune Part 2, we talked about on
Mhm.
our last episode together about being that movie that could get you out the door and into it. But if it's going to take you until November to go see your first movie out this year, they're not doing their job. They're not
Right.
doing their job at all.
Yeah, and I do think that there's a question of that seemingly like creative standstill right now that seems to be happening at still where so much is a remake or a do-over or a sequel that nobody asked for or that nobody needed. It just seems that a lot of those big ideas just aren't really happening right now, unfortunately. And I think that once that creativity comes back and they just stop serving us, reheated leftovers, then I think you may see people also start to get back into the movie theater. Make it worth my time.
Once again, it is the PCC Multiverse. It is Melinda Barkhouse Ross and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Truly appreciate it. I want to touch on something you said there in regards to reheated leftovers. So, the many years that people have felt comfortable going to the movies and watching stuff that we've already seen as far as in a new way presented to you, movies from the past brought out with new characters and new actors and things like that, as far as brought back out by the studio because they wanted to go ahead instead of going into with the new property, people feeling comfortable at, and also as well people feeling being comfortable with going to the movies to go seeing the formula stuff, the box office, regular standbys like superhero movies in the past decade and a half, all seemingly, as far as what Marvel's done, DC has done, and just the movies that you've seen as far as that worked before trying to be worked again. Your thoughts though on this, that is it time that the customer base, the consumer base out there is saying with their wallets and saying, "Hey, we want to see new stuff."
Well, I think that that's kind of what we're experiencing, and I
Yeah.
don't know if it's gonna be like a technology shift, like I said, of people just wanting to be able to stay home now that we
Mhm.
have had a taste of, release day happening both in theaters and on our TVs, so the option is there for you to go see it in theaters, or if it really is just this seeming drought of really creative and interesting storytelling.
Well, it is becoming of great concern to me because the fact
Mhm.
is, if you're not going out and going to see these films, that's a great part of what we talk about here. And we can only talk about, oh, this movie underperformed so many times, where people, even a show like ours, which is so heavily dependent on movies. Yes,
Mhm.
we do streaming, we cover pro wrestling, we cover video games, we cover other assets of the pop culture universe. But face it, Melinda, a lot of our successful shows, a lot of our successful audience, as far as enjoying what we do, is based off of our talk and conversations on movies, big box office movies that come out.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that, perhaps, shows a little bit like ours are, you know, seeing perhaps the trend right now that maybe Hollywood executives are missing. I think people are talking with their wallets by not going to the movies. I think that that's already happening. I think we're already asking for something different. We're already asking for more, and they just again keep giving us, refried beans and leftover meatloaf. I don't know.
Well, speaking of refried beans,
Hmm.
next week is one of the most important weeks of the year because Tom Cruise, who has been out there publicly, I don't want to say begging, but my gosh, he's sure trying to go ahead and do his best sell job on just going to the movie theaters and going back to the box office. But he does have a major box office movie coming out in Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. You know he's coming off of the great success last year with Top Gun Maverick. One of
Mm.
your favorite picks, and I'm being facetious when I say
No,
that.
I was fine with the movie. I just don't understand why it was nominated for an Oscar. That makes no
Yeah,
sense to me.
I'm just teasing you there. But when it comes to what you're seeing with this and the hard pitch that he's making, I
Mm.
do have great concern because the movie, it just started coming out with the critical reaction to it. It right now has an 82 on Metacritic, which is a really good score for a triple A action packed box office movie. And if that doesn't hit, if that fails to, if it underperforms or it fails to connect with an audience, what does that stay? What does that say?
It's saying volumes. And, maybe part of it isn't just Hollywood. Maybe trying to get people to go to the movie theaters and doing everything that they can. Like, you have the big lazy boy and you can kind of kick back and, get more comfortable like you would if you were home. Why don't I just stay home and save myself the 25 bucks? If that's what the movie experience is turning into. I want to be maybe a little bit uncomfortable at the movie theater and having somebody kick the back of my chair. That was all part of the movie going experience, as awful as that could be. But maybe just they're asking too much, and all of these, going above and beyond services are just convincing people, why don't I just stay home, man? I can get myself a beer and I can have my own blanket and I'm already sitting in my lazy boy. So,
It's just weird though, because again, you also have the fact that with theaters, yes, it is becoming more expensive, and it is, like you said, very cost prohibitive. But they're trying to do what they can as far as building you better digital screens. They're trying to build you recliners in many, many theaters that are supposed to be, in fact, some cases, too relaxing, as I have fallen asleep on more than one occasion on them as of late in the not so recent years. But I will say that they're trying their best, the theaters, to go ahead and make it a better experience for you, but it does come at a cost. And I think that's the pushback from consumers out there.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that that could be something that perhaps movie theaters themselves look at. If Hollywood can get their act together, and the movie theater companies can look at where their model is failing, because more often than not, I find, and this is just experience from working in radio, what the public says they want is not necessarily what the public actually decides it wants.
I
So
agree.
so maybe the big comfy lazy boy, some people could have said, I want that. And perhaps that wasn't actually the answer and not actually what they should have gone for.
So, how important to you and to me is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1? Because I think it is very important that it needs to be a box office hit this time next week. I
Yeah.
really think it is very, very important.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if that is the big success, like we hope it will be, then I'm not saying that the next group of movies that should come out, the next phase of Hollywood stuff that comes out should be Mission Impossible inspired, but maybe that's an opportunity to have a look at some of the stuff that's coming out. And I'm also not saying please put Tom Cruise in everything. I like the guy, but I don't want to see 7 movies in a row starring Tom Cruise.
Oh, I don't think he will. I don't think he has enough as far as doing all those stunts outside of
Mm,
that.
yeah.
But I want to ask you this though, when it comes to what you're seeing out there, there's also on the horizon a possible Screen Actors Guild strike.
Yeah.
There's already a writer's strike. You know, that's not helping Hollywood, and their chance to come together on putting out great movies as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges right now, it seems, in Hollywood. And I think that they need to get this stuff solved as soon as possible. Because I can also guarantee you that there is a section of the public who's like, oh, well, writers are on strike. I'm not going to consume that entertainment. There's absolutely a segment of the population that believes that and reacts that way and keeps their money in their wallet.
So I ask you, my friend, if Dead Reckoning Part 1 does not hit with audiences next week, are we in really trouble? Is that sounding the alarm bells in Hollywood? Should that sound the alarm bells in Hollywood on what they need to do differently in order to bring back the audience to the theaters.
I think that the alarm bells should already be sounding in Hollywood. And even if this Mission Impossible movie does well, it's not, oh, thank God we got past that. I don't think that that's going to be the case. It's going to be, okay, we know that Mission Impossible movies and Tom Cruise traditionally do very well. So I think that it's a part of that as well.
Well, I have some real concerns over what the future is going forward for the
Mm,
box office. I know DGen is in our chat talking about how the free screenings, which in the past was a mainstay of actually getting people to start talking about that buzz, about
yeah.
that candor, about because social media during the last decade was a great way to generate buzz about a project one way or the other. Has that also been a backlash as well?
Maybe it's just not as exclusive and special feeling as it once was. Maybe those tickets are a little bit too easy to come by now. You just sign up for a service basically and get it, don't you? Isn't it
Yeah,
something that's
absolutely.
that easy? Yeah.
Yes, it
So,
is. DGen is in our chat saying exactly that as far as, how easy it is to go ahead and get tickets free as far as to see advanced screenings and then also as well just to go ahead and check it out later on afterwards. You just have to wait. Back in my day, you had to go ahead and just wait what almost a year before it hit,
mm,
videotapes or DVDs. Now it's just you have to wait just a few months. Like for instance, Super Mario Brothers, which may very well be the highest grossing film of the year, is already going to be out on Peacock next month.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, like it felt like it took ages for John Wick to get it to a point where you didn't need to rent or buy it in order to be able to watch it on a streaming service. That felt like it took ages, and it was only a couple of months, really.
That's going to be again of great concern if Mission Impossible next week does not hit with audiences. Then afterwards, 2 weeks later on that, at the end of this month, you have Oppenheimer and Barbie in what I think is going to be one of the biggest box office battles of the year. But that's also doesn't seem very mindset wise the right thing to do is putting two big movies against each other when you have so many open spaces in June and July and August.
Yeah, I mean this also could be an indication that we're at a point where the audience is far more sophisticated and we have much higher expectations. So the reality could soon be that we need to have, just for example, a Barbie movie and an Oppenheimer movie going head to head every single weekend. And we need to have those big movies coming out every single week in order to get people back to the theaters. Don't give me those in between, "Oh, might go see it, might not," or, "Oh, shoot, I missed the first 30 minutes of that movie. I'm gonna go see this one, I guess." Like, that just doesn't seem to happen anymore.
And Alan is also in our chat talking about how horror movies have a higher chance of succeeding in theaters
Mhm.
because the horror movies usually are on substantially lower budgets. So there is a higher
Yeah.
chance of success. They don't have the kind of run legs that some of these other box office movies can have, but all they have to do is pop for a couple weeks usually, and that's the ticket for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe that's the answer. maybe maybe you don't need to make a $250 million movie. You just need to find a creative way to tell a story. And I think that the audience, with the amount of things that we're able to consume now and so easily, I think that the audience could be a little bit more sophisticated, and we could be just demanding more. And we're doing that by not going to see some of the, I'm going to use this word here, and I don't mean it that all movies are terrible, but the drivel that seems to have been offered lately in theaters.
Well, DGen's talking about the Barbie Oppenheimer battle coming up later this month. And the thing is about they're two different sides of the coin. They're two different movies altogether. Yeah, they are different, dealing with two different subject matters, but and there's two different type of audiences. But I'm a person that wants to go see Barbie and Oppenheimer. So I may have to choose one and I may never get to the other on screen. I may actually wait until the other one comes out on streaming. I haven't figured out which one I'm going to go see yet. So there is a individual crowd that wants to go see both these movies and might have to make a choice.
Yeah, and I think that if one of those two movies doesn't do as expected in the first theater, it could simply be a matter of the tortoise winning the race over the hare.
Mhm.
The Barbie movie could be the early splashy movie, and Oppenheimer could eventually, over the course of its box office run, end up making more money. That's entirely possible too.
Excellent point. But I do have concerns what's going on right now with the box office. So does Melinda as well. If you have concerns over what's going on with the movies out there, I think next week is a very pivotal week for the movie industry for 2023 with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. It's getting great reviews. There is no better opportunity for a movie to do well. Will it do well? We'll go ahead and discuss that also next week as, again, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning comes out next week. I know Josh and I will talk about it as well. But if you have thoughts on the box office, please let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Well, my friend, 1/2 hour down, 1/2 hour to go here in the PCC Multiverse. Thanks so much for watching and listening. It is Melinda Barkhouse Ross, the mistress behind all that is tabletop RPG with vampires and Vitae. And also as well, Wizards and Wine. I can't do a thing here on camera here, but I can't do it for the audio listeners.
Just
Sorry.
cast Firebolt.
Yeah, okay. I'll make some type of magical sound. But it is Melinda Barkhouse Ross and me, Gerald Glossford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Wanted to go ahead and talk a little bit about Meta's Threads because Meta's Threads did come out this week. And what is Meta's Threads? Well, over 30 million people joined up on the first day. It is Meta's, aka Facebook's alternatives, or Instagram, because Meta owns Facebook and Instagram. It is Instagram's alternative to Twitter, which has been very much maligned over the past year or so because of all the changes that were made and not approved or loved or appreciated or welcomed
Hmm.
by a vast amount of audience, myself included. I have not liked the changes of Twitter at all. And I think as myself, that's why Threads is interesting to me. Your thoughts, though, on what's going on with the desire for people to look for alternative social media outlets because of the backlash on Twitter, but also as well, the fact is, do we really need another social media outlet?
Well, yeah, I mean that's the big question, but like we saw with Vine, which which led us into TikTok, same kind of thing. It's just what's hot and what's not, and is the new stuff worth checking out, worth signing up for, because there were a couple when the Twitter deal with Musk first went through that I went to check out as alternatives for both, actually all three of my Twitter accounts, my personal account.
Mastodon and some
Yeah,
others. Yeah.
yeah, I checked out a lot of them, and a lot of them just seemed overly complicated for no real reason. So honestly, my Twitter usage has dribbled to just about nothing. I barely use it anymore. And I don't like that the you can now buy yourself a check mark when before it felt like something that could be earned, and it actually kind of meant something on the platform. I know different colors mean different things now, and all of that, but it just is an overcomplication of it. And now that you have to like pay once you reach a certain number of tweets that you can see in the run of a day, I mean, come on. I understand that you need to make money as a company, but I just don't know that punishing the people who've been using Twitter for years now is the right way to do it. And that's what it feels like. It does feel like a bit of a punishment. So I'm not surprised that people are searching out and looking at other services. And I think it's just another sign that Zuckerberg can see an opportunity and capitalize on it. I think that he kind of read the writing on the wall with what was happening with Twitter, and now and other personal reasons between him and Musk, let's be honest. But now I think
Yes.
that
Now they want to go to MMA. They want to beat each other up inside a ring.
yeah, but by all means, absolutely. And the winner has to give away their billions of dollars. That's what I think should happen. But you
To
know,
me and you. How
I,
about that?
yeah, I would settle for 500 grand. I'll take that much.
Well, I will say that Threads has been out for a very short time, as DGen points out that it's already a replacement in Twitter in many ways, and that's already huge in the content creation streaming community. It did earn 30 million, I guess, individuals pointing out to it here as far as leaning towards it, entering it, going ahead and attaching itself to it. So it's interesting to see how many people are flocking away right now from Twitter and using the pun there. But I will say on ourselves, we're already out there with the Lakers Fast Break on Threads. We're going to do so right here. I'm doing it as we speak for Pop Culture Cosmos. But what do you see for the future of social media? Do you see more and more entries coming in? I do, but it's just so hard to make one of them stick.
Yeah, and I think that that's the magic in the source code. Really, is it
Mhm.
needs to be easy to use. It needs to be easy to log into. It needs to be easy to secure your account. All of that stuff needs to be very, very simple for people to use. And I need to be able to open it up, play with it for a minute or two, and then understand what I need to do as a user to post, to see who I want to see, to find people to follow, all of that kind of stuff. And that if that's not simple or if it's convoluted, I'm going to lose interest really, really quickly.
You and I both, I mean, because there's just so many to deal with. It's I kick myself all the time for not being more active on TikTok, but then I got to do
Hmm.
what I like Facebook, but then there's I know I'm old fashioned when I say that, but that's just the
Yep.
way I like it. There's also Twitter, you've got YouTube, you've got all these other different social media outlets, LinkedIn, you got so many other. I mean, each even before I go on this show. I have to type in like punching the boop, 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 for us to go ahead and be on all these different streaming outlets. So it just takes so much time and so much, oh, are you on this? Are you on that? Are you on this? Are you on that? Just to make sure that we're reaching to the largest audience possible. It's crazy, girl. It's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And as soon as you start to fall behind on what the newest, most popular stuff is, the quicker you find yourself heading to, or taking the exit to irrelevancy. Irrelevancy?
And
Yeah.
that's part of the problem right there, because if you fall behind, supposedly, you won't be able to keep up with everything, and everybody will not be able to see what you have to offer, which I don't know if it's that's the case. I don't know if that's not the case. It's just very hard to see whether or not you're actually doing yourself justice by being on all these platforms. I don't know if there's any proven formula as of yet.
Well, I think really it comes down to the individual user. For a lot of places, Facebook still works for them and the audience that they're reaching. There for a lot of folks, Instagram, even though it is connected to Facebook, is where they have their biggest audience and that's where they concentrate their efforts. And I think that it just comes down to individual users and who they're trying to reach because each platform has a different demographic of people who use it the most. You can
Well,
compare it to like in radio, right? You have your P1s, you have your P2s, and you have your P3s. So P1s are your primary listeners who will listen to you first before you go anywhere else. So I think that that's the same kind of situation that you get with social media. You have your P1 Facebook fans, you have your P1 Instagram fans, and each one is going to fall into a different demographic. So who are you trying to reach should be the first question that you ask yourself when you start to look at all of these different platforms.
Well, I'm now on Threads with Pop Culture Cosmos. We're there. We're live. We're now part of the Thread scene. So I'm one of the cool kids now, Melinda. What about Vampires and Vitae? Huh?
Yeah,
Huh?
you're
Huh?
way ahead of us, man. You're light years ahead of us.
Oh my gosh, it took like 30 seconds to go ahead and do it. Just links up with your Instagram account. So if you got an Instagram account, you go to threads.net, you just go ahead and you zap in the code, or just go ahead and upload the app on your whatever your phone is that you want to go ahead and do it on. You just go ahead, you connect it to your Instagram account, and there you go. You can make your own custom account if you want, but yeah, if you already have an Instagram account, it's just bing, 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 and you're done. So
Yeah,
at
and
least setting up is really easy to do.
I will say this about all of the meta stuff, and it's not that I'm the biggest Zuckerberg fan, but what I like about it is I can go into the back end of it and I can like your Facebook or your business Facebook stuff, right? Your meta thing that you have. You can post to Facebook and Instagram from the same thing. So I assume that Threads is going to be an additional offering there. So if I can open it up and I can publish to 3 places at one time and I don't have to keep going in and out of all of these different apps and stuff like that. If it's just ease of use that you're looking for, then yeah, I think it makes sense.
I can't wait until we're able to go ahead and add in threads to our live feed and have that become part of the show right here at Pop Culture Cosmos. It's just another outlet for people to go ahead and check us out. So I'm hoping that that's going to be the case still going forward. I know Instagram, that's one of the things. I know Instagram does live video and whatnot, but also it's been a little bit of a pain trying to connect them along with Twitter and Twitch and all that. I've been able, those parts are easy that connects to our software, but it's been not nicer and more convenient if Instagram and now Threads makes it a lot easier for you to connect your live video with everything else.
Yeah, if you had one link that you could put into like OBS or live stream or whatever, and
Mm-hmm.
you could just do one link that would send it to all three of those now three, I guess, meta
Because you need right
platforms.
now a third party app to do it on
Yeah.
Instagram, and it's just like another hassle. So I'm like, I only do it for special occasions
Yeah.
because it's just another step I have to do or jump a hoop I have to jump through. So yeah, it just again, please make it easier, make it just nicer for us, more convenient. It would be
Mhm.
great and much appreciated because it is another social media app that's out there. It is called Threads. If you want to learn more, threads.net and just scan in right there on your phone the QR code, or just go to Threads on your app and just install it. Again, you can just either make your own custom one, or if you just want to just import the information real quick from your Instagram account, it'll take up all the information and boom, you're on Threads. That's pretty easy right there in itself.
And that is half the battle as far as I'm concerned.
That's for sure. And just what we needed, another social media outlet. So go ahead and follow us today on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, Kick. That's another one that we're
Yep.
on, and also as well Threads. Oh boy, I'm doing backflips as we speak. But tell us your thoughts with your disgust on Twitter. Has it led you to go ahead and sign up with Threads? Are you not happy with where the direction is going with social media as a whole? Are I envy people that are not even on social media. That makes it so, I go to mom and I say, "Thank you, mom." Why? Because you're not tweeting or Facebooking out there all the time. So I have to go ahead and say, "You know what? Slow down, mom. I don't have to do that because mom is off social media and she's probably smarter for it."
Yeah, I think so. I've, probably a little healthier too, to be honest.
Absolutely, indeed. But
Yeah.
what are your thoughts out there on the brand new Threads, which is out from the makers of Facebook and Instagram? It is now available wherever you get your social media. Please go ahead and let us know your thoughts and go ahead and hit us up. Follow us today on Threads, Pop Culture Cosmos, or excuse me, Pop underscore culture underscore cosmos at Threads and Pop Culture Cosmos at yahoo.com. My friend, there's been so much great talk so far on this episode, but
Mm.
I need some help from my Star Trek expert. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Yes. I mean,
Okay.
I hope I'm ready.
All right. Because Star Trek Strange New Worlds, which season one I told you was one of the best TV shows of last year, highly, highly recommended by me. Season two is now out, 3 episodes in, 4 by the time you hear this. Third episode. Okay, first episode was kind of because well, first of all, okay, we've always talked about how good Anson Mount is.
Yes.
And you talked about with recently we had a conversation about him at the upcoming Star Trek convention and all that and we talked about how famous he is now and how what a waste that Marvel I put him in a situation where he has a character who cannot speak
Hmm.
or literally speaks like one word every like half hour,
Yeah.
or in the case of his Marvel Cinematic Universe debut, got to say only one thing and had and he blew his brains out right there. I want to ask you this though: the fact that they've misused him on Marvel doesn't mean that they've misused him on Star Trek. He's done a great job in the first season, but first issue I have is Anson Mount has barely appeared in the first 3 episodes of the series. How irritating when the best character you have is not on screen.
Yeah. But also, I mean, It's giving other cast members an opportunity to have their characters carry an episode, which I think is healthy for a Star Trek series because you do need to,
Flesh these characters out. I get
yeah,
it.
and you do need to get to a point where you really do love the head of security. So any episode that features the head of security, you're going to be right there to watch it. I do believe, and I will stand by the fact that the captain is the core of the show. And if the captain is not likable, then you're not going to have a very good Star Trek series. That's what I have learned anyway as a Star Trek fan. So I think by not having him, front and center in episodes, it's giving us a chance to really meet the rest of the crew. And I think that it's been interesting. And I hope that that's what's going on. I hope that there isn't some kind of behind the scenes drama with Anson. I know that there was some stuff that happened with Hell on Wheels when that
Mhm.
show was running. And I know that there was the big time delays because of contract negotiations there. So I hope that we're not seeing a repeat of that kind of stuff with Anson for Star Trek. I really do, though, feel like that's what it is. It really is the runners of the show giving us an opportunity to meet and really get to know the rest of the cast members.
DGen says we interrupted him going to see the latest episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. So we truly appreciate you going ahead and checking us out before you do. I do think, though, that one of the things I communicated to you when I talked about my review last year of season one is how much fun they
Yeah.
appear to be having. It just emotes itself on screen, whether they like it or not. How about how much they like interacting with each other? And there's still the case from what I'm seeing here. It's now looks a little bit more like they're doing their job as opposed to what I saw last year. But it's still, for the most part, been okay. First episode was all right. Second episode was absolutely tremendous. It was a court battle to go ahead and trying to bring back number one back into the good graces of Starfleet. And I will say the performance of her lawyer on the show and the episode is absolutely fantastic. It is along with The Last of Us, probably the most well acted episode of television I have seen this year. Is absolutely fantastic, and I speak none higher of it. It's one of the best performances I've seen quite some time. I think she did an outstanding performance. Number one, Rebecca Romaine did a great job as well. But basically the lawyer for her lawyer stole the show. Absolutely, I want to get her name here in a minute. And I'll go look that up, but episode 3 is where I'm having issues because it is a time travel episode. It gets us back to a modern time frame where once again they're relying on coming back to our time to save costs. Okay,
Right.
let's when in the
Yeah.
end, let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
Star Trek is doing when they do these episodes to come back to the modern times, i.e., season 2 of Picard, which we'd like to forget about. At
Mm.
least I would. It's to save costs. In that case, also COVID as well. But whenever they do these kind of episodes where they time travel back to modern times, whatever it is, like circa 2023 in this case, Toronto, it is to save costs. And that's fine if you're telling a good story. And it kind of did, it's the episode itself, and, as far as like you said, the head of security, who is Lan Noonien Singh, played by Christina Chong. She was there along with a alternate universe Captain James T. Kirk, played by Paul Wesley, who I know this fan base out there. First off, this new James T. Kirk, what are your thoughts on him? And, is he doing it for you as far as playing a different version of James T. Kirk?
I think that he is I think he's doing a commendable job without doing a William Shatner impression. And
That's
that's what I appreciate about the performance,
so
like
you like the fact that he's not doing this.
yeah, he's not doing the impression. And I think that I think he's walking a very good line of doing justice to Captain Kirk. And I think that he's getting some of the things right, like the way that he is, his movement, the way that he's sitting, and the when I remember watching the original series, and the way that Shatner would play Kirk when Kirk was being pensive or thoughtful. I think that that this guy Paul Wesley, I think that he's doing a good job of capturing those moments. And that really, if he goes any further than that, he's just going to start to be accused of just trying to do a William Shatner impression. And I think that he's walking that line very, very well. And you've got to cut the guy a little bit of slack here, because he's not William Shatner. So he's not going to give you William Shatner as James T. Kirk. He's going to give you his understanding and his point of view on the character. Well, I think doing a pretty good job of paying homage in the right moments to Shatner. So that's how I've seen it anyway.
Well, I will say again that episode 2 absolutely hit on the mark. When it comes to episode 3, they do time travel back, and it is, like I said, enjoyable episode for the most part, as they are thrown together to try and stop an event from being changed by, and spoilers here, I'm sorry, can I spoil it a little bit?
Well,
Let's
I
just
think we
say
have to at this point.
I'll be broad. I'll be broad in my say.
Yeah.
It's being, it's the usual tropes that you see in these time travel. Something is supposed to be changed in this episode that will alter the course of history, and that's going to be really put out there as far as what they're going to be changing, that will change the whole scope of the future going forward. And it's up to Kirk and Singh to go ahead and be able to stop whatever's going on. So I ask you, my friend, when you hear this and you see what's going on, is it really connecting with you? Okay, because the reason why I have a question at the end that's kind of interesting, but when you hear what's going on, because I know episode 3 is, you're still catching up to it, and you see that as a time travel thing. They've done the time travel thing before.
Yeah.
I think this was still okay to do. There's still enough freshness to it. I know some of their best episodes, especially from the original series, dealt with time travel. Your thoughts about when they go to time travel? Do you just roll your eyes, or do are you still cool with them time traveling back?
No, I'm cool with them time traveling back, and I'm okay with them bending rules and that kind of stuff. It's like the court episodes are always the incredibly interesting episodes for Star Trek. Measure of a Man comes to mind. So I think that keeping that formula intact when you
And I
came
just wanted
into
to say, Yetide Badaki, I think is her name, is just absolutely killed it. Absolutely killed it in that second episode. Just wanted to go ahead and mention that.
Okay. And yeah, so I think that you have the courtroom episodes are always kind of, the episodes that stand out when people go back and they talk about, the next generation, or even the original series with the court martial episode.
Mhm.
So I think that always lends itself very well, but the time travel stuff can be hit or miss. You know, Sometimes if you just turn off critical thought when you're watching them, it makes it a little bit easier to digest sometimes. But no, I think that I don't have a problem with the time travel episodes, and no more of a problem than I have with any of the court shows. So,
Okay, so we get to episode 3. I'm done beating around the bush.
yeah.
At the very end of the episode, something happens to where they are trying to fight off said event, and it's kind of a twist on what you think it's going to be. And it turns out that, as the head of security, Laan Noonien Singh is related to Khan Noonien Singh, one of the
Hmm.
most revered villains in all of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And she has to make a decision on whether or not to change or alter the course of history on her own, because of the fact that there is a young Khan Noonien Singh involved in this episode. So I ask you, my friend, this is based in 2023 Toronto, which alters the timeline from what the original series has, because as you know,
Hmm.
Khan Noonien Singh was born, I think, sometime in the 80s, and then the 90s as a young kid, or actually in the 90s, he was actually born in the 70s or whatever, if you relate it out. In the 90s is when he grew to power in the eugenics wars to try and become the dictator for all of Earth. It seems by this very episode, which talks about altering timelines and changing things in there, that the producers and showrunners of Star Trek Strange New Worlds have decided to go ahead and alter the entire history of Star Trek with this single episode when it comes to Khan Noonien Singh. Your thoughts on that? If that's the case, I don't understand why they would go ahead and alter it so dramatically as far as his backstory just to serve a one episode plot.
Yeah, and I that's very well put. And I think too that one of the roadblocks with Star Trek right now is them like bridging the lore that was established in the original series, that was established in the Next Generation, that was established in Deep Space Nine, that was established in Voyager. They just seem to take it and kind of go, well, we'll rewrite it. It'll be fine. So it makes it very hard to follow any kind of through line with those big characters like Khan. Yeah, I mean, I understand why they need to do that and understand, the whys of it, but the why of it doesn't always mean that it's good for the lore of the show moving forward.
Well, they kind of sort already gave it away in season 2 of Picard because there was again the whole series, the season,
Mhm.
excuse me, was based in a modern 2020 2021 type time frame, which again would have been right in the middle of the eugenics wars, which was not happening. So
Yeah.
they already then, when you think about it, they already gave it away. But my gosh, it just messes with the time. Khan is one of the greatest villains in the history of entertainment. I don't understand why they went and messed with it. It just seems like I don't mind the relation to her character as Noonien Singh being a great granddaughter or whatever her lineage is.
Yeah.
That's fine. But to go ahead and change his backstory to service a plot, I think is disturbing. And I'm just supposed to be a casual Star Trek fan.
Yeah, it's gosh, what was I just had the thought. I had the word in my head, Gerald, and now it has left my body. Oh,
Goodbye.
shoot. Yeah, goodbye.
Adios.
I'll catch you next
Farewell.
episode. Is what I'll
Nice
remember.
meeting you.
But no, I think that the general disregard for those big characters that mean a lot. Like it would be like taking Picard and rewriting parts of Picard's history. I don't know
Which they
how.
will do, I'm sure, down the road.
Oh, I'm sure there's gonna be something, yeah, but I just feel like there are times when, Star Trek becomes its own worst enemy when it tries to rewrite lore of a previous series. They really need to find a group of writers who, are first and foremost fans of the show and have them establish that timeline and then not mess with it. If you wanna go in and you wanna mess with Khan's second in command, that I think would be a little bit more acceptable than going in and trying to rewrite parts of those big stories.
So in 20 years, Picard will actually have a full head of hair.
Well, I mean, I've seen the test screens where they tried to do that, and I hope they don't.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just not
Maybe,
right.
maybe we're talking about an alternative timeline anyways when it comes to
Yeah.
Star Trek Strange New Worlds, but I don't know. It just like blows me away as far as what they're doing. But you know what? Again, season 1 is incredible. Season 2 has been a little bit of a mixed bag, but again, if you catch episode 2, it is well worth your time. It is absolutely incredible Star Trek. Season 3 is fun despite the many plot holes that it has, and hopefully you will not be as disturbed by the changing Khan that I am seemingly. But we'll see. And if you're a big Star Trek fan, please let us know your thoughts on Star Trek Strange New Worlds, new season 2. Let us know, popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. But my friend, before we head on out, Secret Invasion is still getting itself, it's about halfway through. Can you believe Secret Invasion is already halfway done on Disney Plus, and all the revelations that are there, and the scrolls, getting ready to battle each other as far as the internal struggle. Gravik, played by Kingsley Ben-Adir, who has absolutely an awesome name. And truly, he's a good actor as a villain as well. He's just been looking like he's getting ready to go ahead and start as a super scroll, getting himself and a few others the super scrolls ability, ready to go ahead and have the 1 million scrolls take over the earth. Spoilers. When it comes to what you're seeing with Secret Invasion, are you happy or not happy with what you're seeing so far?
Well, let me put it this way. I keep forgetting about Secret Invasions. I keep forgetting. I have watched the first episode, and Yeah, it's just not top of mind for me right now, and shame on me. I'll get caught up. But yeah, no, I keep forgetting about it, and I keep doing things like going back and rewatching Dune, or I've gone back and I've rewatched. Gosh, I can't remember now. Oh, I've caught up on The Witcher. And it's one of those shows that I just keep forgetting about, and it's because right now, aside from that, there's not a whole lot on Disney Plus. So there's not really a big reason for me to be in Disney Plus looking for something to watch unless I need to get in my monthly quota of watching The Emperor's New Groove.
But I will say the biggest revelation is yet to come on that show, but everybody already sees it coming, so it's pretty predictable that's happened. Is Rhodey, aka Rhodes, who we all know as the War Machine, the right hand man of Iron Man, is now he's the two guy in the United States, right behind the president and working as the president's confidant, and the guy who actually fires Nick Fury on the show from Shield or whatever he's doing after Nick Fury came down from the space station to figure out what's going on as far as in his battle with the Skrulls that he helped to get here, and he was going to find them a new home. I do like the motivation for the Skrulls that are fighting against Nick Fury. Their motivation is absolutely well warranted because Nick Fury has failed in finding them a new home. But when it comes down to, my friend, when it comes to Rhodey, there is the possibility that's been intimated, which everybody and their grandmother that's watching the episodes knows already it's coming, that Rhodey could be a Skrull.
Dun dun dun.
Your thoughts on that? You think it's a done deal?
Well, probably. Well, you know what though? If it's good Marvel writing, there's going to be some kind of twist there, and what's obvious will be made not so obvious. I think could be a thing.
Could be a thing, and they haven't revealed as of yet. They've hinted at it because of the
Hmm.
dialogue between Nick Fury and others. There's something that's a big giveaway that happens in his conversation that he intimates in this latest episode that leads you to that conclusion. It's something that a lot of people had already speculated on. Which Avengers are Skrulls? So we'll see what happens, going forward. But it is very interesting to see the Secret Invasion. It's okay. It's not, I don't get that same chills as I was hoping to get as I watched, of course, Captain America Winter Soldier, which is the best espionage movie of the
Hmm.
past 23 years, as far as that's concerned. I don't think there's been a better spy movie, in my opinion, as far as, and that's even with the Bond films that have come out. I don't think there's been a better spy movie that's come out in the this century, and that's just my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. But it's just getting a little of those vibes, but not quite. Obviously, in the structure of a TV show, you can only do so much. But I'm hoping for the last 3 episodes to go ahead and really turn on the juice to go ahead and give me something juicy to think about and talk about here on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I always have big hopes for these Marvel series. And I think I think they're at their best when they can tie into any new Marvel movies that are coming out. I just don't know that this is, the case with this particular series. But that was always my favorite when you would go to the movies and you would catch, a movie, and then you would see a result of something that happened in that movie play out the next week on Shield. That was so clever, and it was so smart, and it was such a good use of both mediums. And I missed that in the Marvel universe.
So, what are your thoughts out there on Secret Invasion? 3 episodes in. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Halfway down, halfway to go. Already, it's only a 6 episode season, so it's already halfway done. Your thoughts on Secret Invasion? Let us know. Popculturecosmos at yahoo.com. Thank you so much to DJan and Alan for being in the chat. Pop Culture Cosmos is truly appreciated. Melinda, any last thoughts before we head on out?
Yeah, season 3 of episode 3 for Vampires and Vitae, taking place in the Wild West. That's going to be released on podcast platforms tomorrow,
Mhm.
and it'll be released at like 2 a.m. Local time here in Vegas. So you'll have it, nice and early, 6 a.m. there on the East Coast, or maybe it's 5 a.m. on the East Coast, but 6 a.m. Atlantic time. I always get it confused a little bit. And then, of course, our live stream comes back to you on Sunday, kicking off right around 1:30 Pacific Standard Time. So you get the latest episode, and then you get the live stream just a couple of days later if you just can't wait to find out what's going to happen next.
Well, DGen says that Wild West is his jam, so he'll be checking it out. And one question I leave to you: do you bite your husband in the neck?
That feels personal, Gerald.
No, I'm just saying, as far as on the show, on the show.
No, no, nothing like that. No.
Okay, I hope not, because he's the DM, and you
Yeah.
got to keep going.
Yeah,
Yes.
and I don't have half the imagination that that guy has, so, I don't think that I
Okay.
could do that and then take his chair or anything like that, so.
All right. Okay. Or the characters I was talking about, actually, you
Yeah,
thought
I
I meant
mean,
real.
we had, in I think I remember if it was the second episode, we had a character, who had a bestial failure on his rouse check, and that played out in the rest of the episode, so,
Okay.
dice rolls really do count in the show, and sometimes what Robbie has plans gets, pretty sidetracked due to, how those dice rolls land, and that was a really good example of it in episode 2.
All right. So if you wanted to see Melinda bite her husband on the neck figuratively, go ahead and check it out today. Vampires and Vitae. So for Melinda Barkhouse Ross, this is Gerald Glassford. It's another beautiful day in paradise right here in the PCC Multiverse. We thank you for listening. And thank you, DGen and Alan. Truly appreciate everybody else watching. Please subscribe and like what we're doing to get the latest notifications when we go live in the air with the latest pop culture cosmos. But here's hoping you have yourself a great day.